Okay, are we start?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, thanks again. Really nice to be here with Sense to be able to share my personal thoughts with the community.
Amazing.
Hopefully my share will be useful to those who are starting with auditing or looking for ways to improve their skills. So before I proceed, just a quick intro about me. So previously I was a Web2 developer for about 10 over years, and I worked on products in the area of cybersecurity. So it was in 2023 when I transited to auditing by completing a code arena. Right now, I'm focusing on team audits with the partial audit group and spending time as a member of a C4 Blue Team Supplier Dynasty. So feel free to reach me or X if you wish to connect.
Awesome.
So as I mentioned, my auditing journey started in 2023 with Code Arena contest. And because of my dev background, I was lucky to have some quick success and managed to obtain the top 5 rank within the first month. But I know I still have rooms for improvement. So the question then I had in mind was, how do I level up as an auditor? It took me a few months to find some answers to that question. So based on that, I worked on my skills, and luckily it worked for me. I was able to improve my auditing performance and achieve some decent result on Code Arena before the end of the year. So let's get to it. What's the answer to that question? After competing in a few contests, I found that my best improvements actually came from focusing on 4 key skills: time management, knowledge, bug hunting abilities, and creativity.
How would you define bug hunting abilities? Would be that knowing the bugs, knowing the best hacks, reading the reports?
Yeah, to me, it's really applying the whole auditing process from start to end. So it actually corresponds to my auditing process, which I'll share in more details subsequently.
Awesome.
Okay, so anyway, these are all not new concepts. So, but what I did was to apply the ideas that I learned from other auditors in this area. And these are the ones that I find that is really useful and really helped me the most. And by putting in the hours, contest after contest, I was able to see progress in my auditing performance. So let's jump to the first skill, time management. So why is it important? By definition, an audit is a time-box security review. That means time is an important resource for an auditor. With better time management, you can actually outperform another auditor that has the same skill level as you. So how do I level up?
Very interesting. That's a very interesting point to put right there. If I have a better time management, I can surpass other auditors.
That's right. It's something that we don't focus that much, but it's a little improvement that counts. And by one thing that really helped me a lot was to improve my speed. So that's the first point, optimize for speed. Because when you are faster, you actually have more time to find more bugs. So even if you are competing with someone with the same skill level, by being faster, you'll be more likely to find more bugs. And by finding more findings, you naturally stand a better chance of winning the contest. So the next point is that I also try to make full use of my productive hours. So if I'm not at my desk, I'll actually try to audit using my phone. So it might not be an ideal settings, but I feel that every minute counts, and it does allow me to think of ideas even when I'm commuting. So I use a lot of GitHub mobile web. What you can do is only probably just read through the code, but at least you have let your mind constantly think about it, and you might have some ideas that work out great. So the next point, the third method that worked for me was to focus on one type of task at a time. So this is why I organize my audit process in multiple passes and do similar tasks for each pass. And that's because I find it more efficient to focus on similar tasks for a few hours. So, for example, when I'm understanding the code base in the first pass, I just focus on reading and avoid investigating any leads at that stage, which can be quite disruptive. So the last method was actually to give myself time limits. And I don't really mean tracking every second using a timer, but it's just to be mindful of the time that I spend on certain tasks. So if I'm not making any progress on something, I'll just move on to something else and maybe come back later when I have more time. So I'll just read some notes, put an audit comment so that I can keep track of all this. Now, on the next skill, it's very obvious that you need knowledge to do well for auditing. But what is really difficult is to find the right balance for it. The important thing you have to understand is that it's not possible for one to know everything. So what I focus on in the beginning is to build up my fundamental knowledge. So this includes knowledge of solidity, EVM, defined primitives, and attack vectors. And what really worked for me was to apply them as frequent as possible to make this knowledge stick. You can do that via Securum, quiz, or audit contest. And for the advanced topic, I will just research and learn while auditing. And the reason for doing that is to avoid getting stuck in learning mode, because there's too many new information to keep up every day. And by learning while auditing, I can make sure that I'm learning relevant knowledge that can apply in the current audit. So most of the time, what I do is just note down any interesting article, tweet, things that I saw under some category that I can reference later if I cannot apply them now. So it's important to see something, you need to be able to categorize them, whether they are fundamental knowledge that you need to understand right now, or is it an advanced topic that you can learn later when you are applying in the subsequent audit. So the next skill is bug hunting abilities, and as I mentioned, it actually corresponds to my auditing process, which I typically take about 4 passes. So jumping right into the first pass is simply just understand the code base and build a mental model. Everyone has their preferred way of understanding the code base. For me, my goal at this stage is to obtain a basic understanding in the shortest time. And to get better at that, I mainly find ways to speed up code reading. I just scan through the key areas of the code to understand the contract interactions and attack surfaces. For example, I'll look at the public state changing functions to understand the entry points, and then I'll proceed to look at the state variables and see how they are used throughout the code. And at this stage, I read contract by contract. This is to maintain the momentum and not get slowed down by following through all the contract calls and jumping between contracts. And this is also to prevent me from getting overwhelmed by the details at this point. To be quick, I know I can't understand everything in one go. So I'll put in some audit comments so that I come back to them later. And of course, the third point is that reading a variety of code has helped me too. So it takes less time to understand another lending protocol once you've audited them before or read them before. So in my second pass of auditing, this is where I apply the verifying ability. The aim is to check the correctness of the code quickly while getting a better understanding. So over here, I'll start from the entry points and then follow through the function calls to verify the code is doing what it is designed to do. So first, I still try to complete this pass as quick as possible. That means I avoid spending too much time investigating any leads or doing any POC at this point. That's the reason for doing that is that I find it better to just focus on finding low-hanging bugs or noting down leads at this stage. The aim is still to get a better context of the code for the subsequent deep dive. And the second point is that if I see any form of calculation, I'll just use Excel to do some quick verification. Only if I have time or the test cases are not too long to run, I'll try that out. But otherwise, I'll mostly be doing quick verification using Excel on Peakbolt. And the third point is that it's a quick way to verify is by doing pairwise comparison. So there are many ways to do this as I listed here. So one example is that you can compare symmetric functions like deposit against withdrawal to spot any inconsistent behavior. So this method is great at this stage because you can spot errors more easily using a reference. And also it might not require a deep understanding of the code yet. And by the time I reach the third pass, I would say I'll have a quite decent understanding of the code base. And this is where I'll get deeper and start to apply attack vectors while going through the code line by line. So how I level up in this area was to build my own list of attack vectors that I learned from all the resources and from tweets and other articles, and then organize them by category and the red flags. This is so I know when I can apply these attack vectors and also how to apply them. But after some time, most of the attack vectors are actually quite straightforward. So I was able to actually improve my speed by applying most of them from memory without referencing the list. And finally, in the last, the fourth pass, this is where I will investigate the leads and confirm all the findings. I usually spend the most time here, and by managing time well, I'll be able to deep dive and revisit the novel and complex part of the code. And these part of the codes are likely to have edge cases that are not obvious, and that means higher chances of a bug. So we have to understand that code tends to be more complex when they are nested if else or heavy map and assembly. And this complexity increases as the code path span across functions, contract, and even protocols. So these are the places that I'll spend the most time in. And so what has really helped me at this stage is to allocate sufficient time for this deep dive by being quick for the first 3 passes. And then this is where I take it slow. I spend more time on the complex functions to increase my chance of finding unique bugs. A quick tip is that in the Solidity Visual Depth extension, it has an outline view that allows you to see the complexity rating of functions in the contract. So the second point is that when you are investigating lead, you can either confirm or eliminate the possibility of a bug. Sometimes it's just faster to show that the bug is impossible, and that will save more time than trying to find an attack path. And also, curiosity is important here, as we want to go deep and investigate any assumption that the developer has made, but would be wrong. And the fourth point is that I find it easier to think of edge cases when I'm able to simplify my understanding of the code. So after the first 3 passes, if I there's something that's complex, I'll try to draw it or write it down using a special diagram so that I can visualize it. It helps me to think about the edge cases and something that that's not obvious. So sometimes the code will be also too hard to understand by reading. And that's when I'll run test cases to see the behavior at runtime. But this is something that I do as a last resort. Because running code usually is slower than reading, especially when you have to do the debugging using console log or boundary execution traces, and also understanding the test cases, how to get it set up. All this will take time. And the last skill, but also the most important skill, is actually creativity. I feel this is what differentiates a top auditor from a good auditor. And the reason why I put this as the last is that it requires a good level of the first three skills. So I define creativity as the ability to think of and apply complex attack vectors. These are attacks that are not obvious and usually involve multiple steps. So they could be by combining multiple low or medium severity findings into high, or it could also be requiring you to manipulate the contract to reach an intermediate state before it can be exploited. For example, to conduct a share inflation attack, you actually need to manipulate the contract to achieve an initial 1-to-1 asset to share ratio before you can actually perform donation to manipulate the exchange rate. So all I developed here is that I find it useful to keep learning new attack vectors, or as you can think of it, ways to manipulate the contract states. So reading relevant audit reports, facts, and bounty write-ups is going to help with this. For example, something that came out recently, I think from the Wise Lending, right? The self-donation use was a very clever attack vector over there, because it actually uses the protocol safety mechanism by rounding out in favor of the protocol and exploiting that to actually conduct the share inflation attack. And next, it is important to have a deep understanding of the code base. There's no shortcut here. Without a deep understanding, it's not possible to figure out how to manipulate the state. And over here, when I try to brainstorm on an attack, I would also try to see, beyond just applying attack vectors, I'll try to make use of the feature or maybe other low and medium issues, see whether can they help to reach the desired vulnerable states. And the next thing I do is to maximize my creativity by uploading my brain. So that is simply done by writing or drawing, as I mentioned previously. So why is it useful here is that it's able to provide a reference for my brain to anchor on, so that I can use my brain to think of all the possible attack vectors. And finally, it's also beneficial to try different approaches when coping attacks. So one example is to start from the vulnerable state and work backwards to think of ways to reach there. And I sometimes also try random approaches, like maybe I'll start from important functions or state variables, and then I'll trace back to see how is it called or used. Okay, so we have reached the end of my sharing. Here are my some final tips. So first, always put in 100% and try to catch as many bugs as possible. Don't stop even you have found quite a few bugs. because there's no way to find out whether there's more bugs. So do not stop until you are given up. You are given your best. And if you still have time, just do a few more passes and try different approaches to see whether you can improve your skills. And remember, after every audit, you reflect on your performance and see how you can improve and be faster the next time. That will actually help you catch more bugs in the next audit.
I find that offloading your brain to maximizing creativity very interesting. I never heard that perspective before.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's something that I feel that sometimes it's a very simple tip, but I feel that it's quite useful because sometimes when we try to be fast, we actually overload our brain. So sometimes it's good to take a step back, draw it out. You might have some new ideas just popping up through the process. Yeah.
Very interesting. The community has questions? Let's see. I don't think so, bro. I think they understood everything. Very interesting talk and very well structured. Thank you so much for that.
I think I saw the.
Let me see here. What was the biggest bug that you found?
In terms of what I could think of right now, I think is maybe biggest maybe is the biggest the one that earned the biggest reward. Can't remember exactly how much they win, but an interesting bug that I found was the there was some inconsistent NFT minting feature in the Tapioca DAO contract. It's something that is quite easily overlooked because what they are doing was to implement cross-chain NFT, and you know NFT is important to keep track of the token ID, and somehow it's actually possible to mint duplicate IDs by doing it in another chain and then transferring back to the host chain. So it was something quite unique because this is not common in the contest. I mean in other protocols, but and that took a while for me to figure out. It's some kind of collision because the assumption is that the same ID, they have the same ID on two different chains, and somehow they are using the NFT to do some computation. So if you transfer the same ID to that chain, you can actually freeze the whole contract.
How do you manage your day? How many hours do you work per day?
I don't really have a fixed number of hours. I just see when I'll try to start the day early. So if I'm productive, I'll just carry on. If not, I'll just call it a day. Yeah, sometimes I might work later in the night again. But what I feel is that if I feel that I'm not productive, actually I'll just stop working and maybe do something else, read up, or try something different. So that is to make sure that I don't burn out. Yeah. And I feel that by improving on my speed, I also don't have that time pressure to work too many hours in one day. So it's something that actually also takes time to actually improve. So in the beginning, it wasn't that easy, but over time, actually, by improving my speed, it gets better.
Awesome. Are you still doing contests? What made you do working in teams? How does work in teams versus being solo goes for you?
Okay, right now I'm not doing contests at the moment because I'm involved in quite a few audits, the partial audit group, and also doing in the blue team. The question, what made you work in teams versus being solo? For private audits, I actually only work in team audits. So I have not done a solo private audit before. So most of the time, solo is on Code Arena in the competitive audits, and well, there are trade-off. There are pros and cons between working in teams and being solo. Um, I find that in teams you are more collaborative, and you can actually share ideas. So sometimes you might not be able to confirm something but by sharing the ideas, you could figure other ideas that your teammate has, and same thing that I also get some ideas from other teammates. This is what I feel is different from solo audit or audit contest.
Very interesting. Some kind of cool.
Yeah, I hope I understand that question from even.
There's a reason why you choose to compete on Code Arena instead of Sherlock?
I just started with Code Arena. First, I did compete on Sherlock for once, but I felt that it's better to focus all my effort on Code Arena. And the reason I did that was that I find that Code Arena has quite a lot of different kind of protocols, and my aim was to be able to level up myself by auditing different kind of protocols. Yeah, and over time, I just feel that it's better to focus on one so that I can just climb the leaderboard. Yeah, and not spend my time between two different platforms.
Very interesting, bro. Do we have more questions for the community? Anyone wants to speak? I think this is it, brother. Do you have any closing thoughts? Any message you want to leave people that will see this on YouTube?
Yeah, thanks for inviting again. Hope you guys have a great time auditing. So just a closing thought is that always try to be open to try new things, get out of your comfort zone, and also enjoy the process. I feel that will help you to be more productive and find more bugs. So that's all I have. Yeah.
Amazing. Enjoy the process, brothers. Amazing talk. Thank you so much for preparing, taking your time, being here today. And I'm so glad to be able to have people like you here, man. Anytime you need us, just come, okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.